This episode is brought to you by Love Hurts. Kiwi Kwan has had quite a career, from childhood roles in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and The Goonies to a recent Academy Award win for Everything Everywhere All at Once. But now Ki finally stars as a leading man in the film Love Hurts. Love Hurts is the perfect date night movie with its mix of over-the-top action, comedy, and a ton of heart. Love Hurts, only at theaters February 7th.
You are listening to Women's Running Stories, where exceptional women runners share inspirational stories about their running experiences.
I personally feel like I can run fast times, and I just haven't hit those times yet. And so that's kind of where I'm like, I have this passion of I just want to see what my body can do. I want to be able to just look back and just be like, hey, I gave all I could and I did what I can and I'm happy with it. Because I don't want to live with that regret of maybe I should have tried harder, maybe I should have done this. But it's at the end of the day, it's there's no if, ands, or buts. It's I'm doing it. Hi, my name is Jennifer Sandoval. I'm a SoCal athlete. I'm based in Fontana, California, but I train in Rancho and Riverside and kind of anywhere Southern California.
Yes, this episode features Southern California elite level runner Jennifer Sandoval, who typically goes by Jenny. And she is doing it. She's developing her post-collegiate running career to discover what her full potential is in this sport. And the latest event in that journey was the USATF Cross Country National Championships, which took place on January 11th in Lubbock, Texas. And in this episode, we're going to get into how it all went down for Jenny at that event and the post-collegiate path she's been on to get to this point. But before we hear more from Jenny, I want to welcome you to Women's Running Stories. I am Cherie Louise Turner. I'm the host and producer of this podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Now, this episode is a race report, and for the past couple of years, I have been doing race reports for each of the races that are part of the USATF Racing Circuit Series. These are races that happen all throughout the country, all throughout the year, and each race is a national championship for the type of race or the distance being run. And in addition to vying for a national championship and prize money, racers were also racing for points that went to a series overall that was decided at the end of the year. This year, it appears that the series aspect of these races has gone away, but there will still be plenty of national championship races, and I will have a race report episode for each and every one of them. In each of these race report episodes, I choose one top 10 finisher to tell the story of how the race went down from her perspective. And because a race is never just about what happens on race day, you'll hear the bigger picture of what went into that performance on that day. The next race on the schedule is the USATF Half Marathon National Championships, which will be happening in Atlanta, Georgia on March 2nd. So you can look forward to another race report coming out shortly thereafter. Now on to Jenny's running story, which does include how it all went down from her perspective at the Cross Country National Championships and quite a bit more. A little background on Jenny. She raced for San Jose State and Azusa Pacific during her collegiate career. And in 2022, she was the NCAA Division II 10,000-meter national champion. After graduation, Jenny wasn't done with high-level racing, so ever since, she has been figuring out how to navigate post-collegiate life and now a full-time job. Currently, Jenny races for Renegade Running out of Oakland, California, and she does get some support there. And she has teammates who she meets up with and races with at various races. But for the most part, she's training and figuring things out for herself. And this has resulted in many highs and lows, including how it all went down for Jenny at the recent cross-country championships, which was a high. Jenny surprised herself with an even better result than she had expected, an indicator that she is on an upward trajectory. And this wasn't the first time that Jenny has surprised herself with a performance that went better than she expected. Her marathon debut at the California International Marathon, also known as CIM, back in 2023, was a bright spot as well. And that is an incredible story that you will also hear about. So let's get into it. Let's hear Jenny Sandoval's running story with a focus on the recent cross-country champs and a lot more. Jenny's story begins with why and how she continues to pursue elite-level running. Here to tell her story is Jenny Sandoval.
I love having a purpose. Like, and running gives me a purpose, and I love it so much. I would love to run with a team, but I run by myself. I put on music and I'll sing to it while I run, and I don't care how crazy I look. But I feel like that's been helped me out a lot, is just like therapeutic runs. And then on top of that, I reach out to some companies to be like, hey, like by chance, like there's this one company called Night Buddy. I messaged them and I was like, hey, like I run a lot in the dark. Do you by chance can send me like a headlamp? And I told them my like running resume, and they were like, absolutely. And so that headlamp has been getting me through like dark runs, because I get off of work at 5, and my runs start at 5:10 and the sun's down, and I just put my headlamp on. And having that and running in the dark is, especially as a woman, it's very scary. So I do a lot of loops, if that makes sense. Like it's more of like I tell my parents exactly where I'm at, and I'm like I'm the woman with the headlamp and bright clothes. Like, if you need me, I will be at this park for the next hour.
Jenny does do a lot of training completely on her own, but that is not always the case.
I'm a volunteer coach at Cal Baptist University, so I get to do some training with the CBU athletes, and I get to mentor them. And so I get to like kind of help out my community, and being a part of like that community, like the CBU, just jumping in a couple workouts just twice a week has been super helpful. And then other days after work, when I run by myself, sometimes I get to be a part of I get to run on the track at my local high school, like Bloomington High School, where my fiance works. And so my fiance, he'll like have his little light and the little stopwatch, and he'll be like, all right, Jenny, let's go. And he's also a coach himself, and so him staying little extra hours. And so he's been a part of my journey a lot as my coach, as my guidance. And so there's been a little pieces here and there, like puzzling together, like, being a part of like this community, and then, driving out a little bit towards like Claremont because it's very windy. And so Claremont's less windy. And so, navigating and all that stuff, and just kind of putting that together has just been really, really fun. And just knowing that people actually want to help you post-collegiately, and any help you can get, it's just been so helpful, honestly, because it running post-collegiately, just getting like a pair of shoes is like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Oh, yeah. And so, that's what I'm thankful for. Like the Renegade club team that I run for, they like provide occasional like shoes, and a little bit of like here's a shirt to run in. And I'm like, thank you. Like it's like it goes such a long ways. And so even though it's like the littlest things, and then these past couple weeks have been just super fun, diving into training and just diving fully into it. And so I had so much fun, and then my community just been pouring into it. Yeah, it's been super cool.
Jenny does have a strong community around her, and she's learned to call on them for support, like on those dark nights when she doesn't want to go at it alone. Then it's a matter of who to ask for help from first.
Who can I call to just run or bike with me? And it's literally like calling my community. Like sometimes my dad gets out of work, and I'm like, hey, can you bike with me, please? It's really dark. And or like my fiance or my brother, or like anybody that like picks up their phone, I'm like, please.
Also, Jenny is Latina, and another hurdle that she faces in her pursuit of elite level running is cultural.
Yeah, so so being a Latina is you get that stigma of like, okay, now you get married, you have kids, you take care of your husband, this norm. And so it's like a lot of my family members are like, "Why are you still running? Like, you're not winning anything. Why are you still running?" I was like, "It's because I really love it." And I think that women, especially Latina women, should still have that goal as well, to still pursue running at a high level and, make their own path and just like, pave their way, because typically it ends up happening a lot with like the Latina culture and Latino culture is like you have to like give up the sport because you have to help your parents with like or family with like financial needs because of X, Y, and Z. And so it is pretty hard to find that, and it's a unique niche. And so kind of helping them like pave the way, just like guidance and just any way possible that I can help. And so, yeah, there's a unique niche there that it's just like it needs more like representation. It's like when you go to big races like that, you don't see as many. And so when you do see some, you're like, you give them a hug and you're like, wow, like it's so cool to see you guys out here. And as well as just other ladies as well. So yeah, just been super excited to like help out in this community and just outreach and just be like a role model and just a role model for anyone that needs it, honestly, because in the end of the day, it's just like everyone needs help, and so that's kind of what we're here for.
Jenny Sandoval is pursuing running to discover her own potential in the sport and also to represent and serve as a role model to other Latinas and whomever else she can lift up. Helping other runners is a priority for Jenny. It's part of what keeps her motivated to continue showing up, which is exactly what she did on January 11th at the USATF Cross Country National Championships held on a 3-lap course in Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah, so, yeah, the cross country race, it was very windy, like 30-mile-an-hour headwind or so. So it wasn't like but it was sunny, so it was like you needed sunglasses, but you also needed like earmuffs because like the wind was so strong. So it was just like such a weird combo, but it was fine. The race kind of felt like it was warm enough that you didn't need gloves, but cold enough that as soon as you took off your top, it was like, oh wow, I'm kind of cold. Going into the race, I was just feeling just excited because I've dealt with a lot of sickness and injury, and just kind of showing up to this race being healthy for the first time and actually being excited to race has been such a long time coming. So I was just super excited, honestly. My fiance and I flew out from SoCal, and it took so long to get there, so many delays, and just because of like the storm that Lubbock had. And so just getting there was just like an adventure in itself. So just being there, I was just so excited, honestly, just being there. My former coach from college was there coaching his current athletes. So just seeing him gave me like a sense of calm. Who's Coach Wick. And so yeah, he was always like, "You got this, Jenny," and he's super funny. So I guess just having him gave me a sense of calm. And I'm a very big talker, I guess, and so I love to talk to like the other runners and just kind of just like I love to just talk to people as a person and just like, oh, it's going to be so exciting to go out there and race, and just saying good luck to everybody, giving people hugs. I guess I'm just a very like talkative person when I'm really nervous and just want to bring out the best in everyone. And so those were kind of like the vibes of pre-race. And so I got to be next to the Hartnell ladies, the community college team. And so it was super nice being next to them. So they were also Latina runners, and so they were super excited being there, and they were kind of mentioning to me, they're like, "Oh, I'm so nervous. What do I do?" And I was like, just go out there and think of it as a tempo in the wind. Because if I'm being honest with you, we knew the time was out the door. It was more like an effort-based effort, like the course, if you think about it, because it's like you're going to get wind on your back and then you're going to run into the wind. And so just think of it like an effort, almost like a fartlek. And when they gathered everybody together and the gun went off, it was more of like you immediately formed a pack with the ladies, and I just knew that there was like a good pack around. And since it was like 3 laps around, it was like, okay, like I know that it's going to be like there's going to be a move that happens, and it's going to be the breaking point and kind of seeing where people go. And that happened the second lap, and they did it into the wind, and it was like I was like, oh, this is a good one. And so after that, it was very spread out, and it was good. It was a good effort, and all the ladies out there, I think, put in their best effort as they could. Most of the ladies that were in there that have ran or the top 5 or the top 3, those ladies are very elite and everything like that, and just being able to be close to them was just super cool and super exciting. And it's like, your mind's like, "Oh, I wanna go with them," but it's like your body and your legs are like, "Nope, this is what we got today. Let's just see what we can do." Yeah, so then they made the move, and then, the second lap was like you try to, like, catch up, but it's so hard to catch up because it's very windy. And so after that, it was more of like, let's just stay calm, stay collective, and just continue moving forward, and just try to see if we can get the person in front of us or keep them close. And then, the third lap came, and it was just like, okay, just stay consistent. Like, don't panic. You're okay. You're in a good place. Like you're trying your absolute best in this wind, and it's just like you can see the competitors in front of you, and you want to catch them, but then you can't because it's like this is what your body has for the day. And so, but it was amazing. Like, I'm super proud of those ladies for running that fast in the wind and just being around those ladies. And I got to meet them after the race. Finishing the race was like so exciting because my old head coach was cheering for me. And so, like, I just like gave him a hug after, and finishing gave all the girls a hug, but then had to run to the airport after because I thought that my flight was going to take off without me, but ended up getting delayed. And so I wish I could have made it for the award ceremony.
It was unfortunate that Jenny missed that award ceremony because she'd fought hard all the way to the end of the race to finish an incredible 5th place. After working through a series of setbacks, including injury and illness, this terrific performance makes it clear to both Jenny and her coach that Jenny is back on form and ready to throw down this year. And this wasn't so clear before the start of the race.
So, placing in the top 5, I didn't think that I was gonna be like that, honestly. I was like, "Oh, maybe even top 15 is great." So, like, in a sense, if you compare the ladies that we were competing up against, like, their PR times, they're really fast, and so it kinda goes to show, like, we are in the right direction of what we want. So, I think that's kind of where I'm excited for. I'm really excited to kinda just lay it out there and kinda see, like, what my body can do, and just like it gives me, like, a very good confidence going into, like, my little down week, and then building back up for track after this. Like, we're thinking of, like a 10K and a little bit of road for this coming spring, and then, transitioning for the fall, and, maybe going for that, like, world cross country, and, maybe transitioning to marathon. And so it's just, it's really cool to structure your schedule post-collegiately.
Jenny has a lot to look forward to, and she and her coach have other confidence-boosting performances to key off of that can help guide decisions going forward. What races to focus on, what strengths to build on, what weaknesses to address. So part of her moving forward is looking back. And looking back at the end of her collegiate career and what has happened since, it's been a bumpy road, like really bumpy. But Jenny has persisted, and she has discovered more of what she's capable of.
The challenges of post-collegiately is like, I went at Azusa Pacific. I ended up I won a national title in the 10K, and so it was like that was like a highlight. And then the downside, the challenges of that is like navigating post-collegiately. And so it was like I got sick, I got a sinus infection, I got injured really bad. And so, but after getting sick really bad, I ended up there was a USA club cross country race that I ran, and that one was like a really fast race that I ran. It was like it was 18:30, but if I quote that it's not a real 6K course, but it was a very fast course, and it was like short 200. So if we want to like add a 200 to that, technically it could be like a low 19 6K. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's so exciting. And then, after that I got injured pretty bad and I couldn't walk. And then after that I missed a track season, and I was watching everybody run track races, and it was so cool to just watch people race, but it made me sad. And so I came back and I ran a marathon that fall, and I missed the trials by 11 seconds.
Yeah, that stopped me in my tracks too. Jenny debuted in the marathon in 2023 after being sidelined by injury. Her goal was to qualify for the Olympic Trials Marathon, which happened in February of 2024. The qualifying standard was a really tough 2 hours and 37 minutes. And something to know here too is that runners can also qualify for the Olympic Trials Marathon by running a really fast half marathon. And Jenny had gone after that standard first and hadn't quite reached it. So she decided she'd try and qualify with a marathon. But she had never raced further than the 13.1 miles of the half marathon. So yeah, having never run a marathon in her life, she ran so close to that difficult standard, only 11 seconds away from meeting her goal. It was heartbreaking, but also, wow, what an incredible performance, especially when you learn about all of the details.
Yeah, so it was an Olympic year. My coach and I were like, we were trying to go for the half marathon first. So we tried to go for the half marathon at Monterey, but we were short by like 45, 49 seconds or so. And we're like, dang. And so we just kind of like, we're like, hey, let's do it. You know, it's a marathon year. Like this would be a really cool experience for you. And so we're like, yeah, okay, absolutely. And we just were like, okay, like we were doing 80-mile weeks. We were training for the half marathon. So we are doing a lot different training. And so then it was like a 3-week turnaround. And we had to find a bib on Facebook Market and message people on there like, "Does anybody have a bib?" And then getting a bib and just I don't know who it was, but he was an amazing person. Who sold me the bib, thank you. And, getting to that line, like, was just so surreal. I ended up convincing my fiancé to run it with me, and so he was on the bus with me, and then after that, that was the calming part, but then we had to part ways because I was in the elite section, and so, like, getting to that line and that start, and it just, like, I just was at the only thing I wanted to do was like, "Okay, let's just finish this race," and then, going into it, the enthusiasm, like, I didn't know how, like, just I was scared to take gels because it was like, what if I take too much? What if I have to use a restroom? What if this and that? Like the what ifs. But what kept me calm was like talking to other runners, and they're just like, "You're okay. Like like just go out there, do what you can. Don't eat too much. Just drink water when you need to." And then I my whatever like my fiance did on his marathon, I just copied and pasted it for mine. And I didn't dive into technical. I just was like, "Yeah, that tastes good. I'll take that." And we winged it, and it was like it was a fun experience for sure. I don't think I would do that again. I would do it a little bit more of like more training, a little bit better with like 20 miles and just kind of throwing down better times would be a little bit better. But, when we got closer to the end and I saw the time change to 2:36:59 to 2:37, it was like, but then, like, you finish the race and, like, I threw up after that race, I'm being honest with you. I couldn't hold nothing down. Because 1, I took too much liquid, so that was a lesson learned, and that was a first timer, and I was just happy to finish. I would love to get up to the marathon, like, in a couple of years, transition to fully marathon, because running a 2:37:11 without ever running more than 16 miles was like, wow, super cool. Cause I remember running the marathon and passing the mile 16. And I was like, I don't know how the rest of this is gonna go, but I'm just so excited to be here. And the rest of the miles was like, oh my gosh, I'm at 17. Oh my gosh, I'm at 20. This is the most miles I've ever ran in my life. And then you get a mile 21, 24, 26. I was like, this is the most I've ever run in my life. And so I was just so excited to finish. And so it was like, wow, I can't believe I did that. And it was just exciting, honestly, to like know that my body could do that with like so like little marathon training. And it just made me so excited to see the potential of like, hey, maybe if I did marathon training, maybe I could run faster times. And so I think, when the future, once I start doing actual marathon training, I'm excited to kind of see what we can throw down.
I am also excited to see what Jenny Sandoval will be able to throw down in the marathon and in the other shorter distances she'll be going after in the very near future. In addition to focusing on exploring her own potential as a runner, Jenny does also have that interest in being a resource for other runners who are navigating collegiate and post-collegiate running.
I've had so many young girls come up to me and talk to me, and they're like, "What do I do when I graduate?" And I'm like, I was in the same boat as you. I didn't know what to do either. I just was like, I love running. I don't have a sponsorship, but I just want to keep running and seeing what my body can do. And I just was like, "Hey, like, if anybody needs help with it, I'd love to just brainstorm, talk it out." And I used to be a coach, and so, the athletes, when they're like, "What do I do? How do I know what school to choose?" And because I was a first gen student, athlete, and just navigating that, I was like, I would love to help these athletes out, like, figuring out where to go and just, like, messaging me like, "Hey, like, what do I do? How do I do this?" It's like, I'd love to just point you in the right direction with the best suggestions, and because I wish someone would have helped me out because when I chose my school, I flipped a coin and I did it. Like, oh my gosh, like, if I could go back to, like, 17-year-old Jenny, I'd be like, "Why did you flip a coin?" And it's just like I was like, "Well, like, I did it, and I was attracted to that choice, and, I'll never regret it. It was a decision that I wanted."
Yes, Jenny did actually make her decision about where to go to college based on a coin flip. And in the end, it all worked out well. But now that she's on the other side of her collegiate career and in her post-collegiate years, she does have valuable experience to share. So, whether you're a younger athlete looking for some guidance, or someone like me who just wants to keep up with Jenny's running and racing, you can follow her on Instagram. Look to the show notes and I will provide a link to her account. That does bring us to the end of Jenny Sandoval's running story on the podcast. Thank you so much, Jenny, for coming on the podcast and sharing your story. I am excited to cheer you on, and congratulations on a terrific performance at the Cross Country National Championships. And thank you for listening. I always appreciate you coming here and listening to these amazing running stories. That's going to do it for me for this week. I am Cherie Louise Turner. I'm the host and producer of Women's Running Stories. And until next Tuesday, I do wish you healthy, joyful strides forward. Women's running. Women's running stories.
Running should be simple. Just put on your shoes and go. And yet, when you try to learn about how to get better at it, especially as you age, you're confronted with conflicting advice, complicated workouts, and confusing nutrition trends that just won't work for you. On The Planted Runner, I'll share exactly how to run faster, longer, and feel great doing it at any age because you don't have time to waste. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic, and I went from not running at all in my late 30s to finishing a marathon in 2:58 at age 42, all on a plant-based diet. I've helped hundreds of runners achieve new personal records well into their 60s and even 70s with science-backed training, plant-based nutrition, and proven mental strength techniques. Each episode of The Planted Runner is like a private coaching session on the run where you'll learn from me and the guests I interview. You'll get actionable lessons to help you become a better runner every week and reach goals you never thought possible. Whether you're training for your first 5K or your 50th marathon, take along The Planted Runner on your next run. Let me show you how your best running is still ahead of you.